give so much work that you actually start hating the class. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the second video that we're doing. The plan for this video is giving a report card to the top 2 public university in the United States, UC Berkeley and UCLA. I have two friends, and we have 3 people that graduated UC Berkeley, and then we have one of my friends that graduated UCLA and took me to UC Berkeley for a semester and a half when we were actually going to school. But yeah, can you all introduce yourselves and we can get going?
Sure, I'll go first. My name is Kristin, and I went to UC Berkeley for 2 years, graduated in 2018.
Is Sarah. I went to UCLA, and I went for 2 years and graduated in 2019.
Hey everybody, I'm Jake, and I went to UC Berkeley for 2 years as a transfer student, graduated in 2019.
Next. So we're going to have different topics, and then we're going to talk about each topic, what we thought about it, and then we're going to give a grade based on what we think. So the first topic is application and the planning for the school.
So how did we feel about the application process?
Yeah, and like preparing to go to school too.
I mean, it was pretty hard, man. I don't know about you guys, but it was intimidating the whole way through. From, rigorously trying to keep my GPA up throughout community college so that it would be good enough for the top tier schools. That was always a challenge. And then the year I applied, the applications changed so that we had to write like 6 mini essays, or maybe it was 5 mini essays of like 350 words each. And that was really hard to work around because like I can just write, and trying to be concise is not my strong suit. So that was tricky, but apparently I did good enough. I got accepted, and then I guess the next biggest challenge was trying to find an apartment that was conducive, not too expensive, which is hard to do in the Bay Area, but eventually found one. And yeah, how about you guys?
I remember feeling the same way because when I applied, it was the same thing as you, the same like mini essays, and that was so difficult to write. Yeah, 350 words or 400 words, whatever it was. Yeah, so difficult. I didn't expect to. I think I had less stress about the application though because I had my heart set on a program that was in a CSU school, and that application was definitely a lot easier. I didn't do a lot of writing for that application, and so I knew I wanted to apply to UCs. So I still did all the work, but not that I didn't care about it, I definitely did, and I remember spending a lot of like really late nights working on those essays, but I think once I finally turned it in, it's like, okay, well, I did that, it's fine, like I probably won't get anywhere, and that's okay, and then I was surprised that I did. So that was, I think, the most fun of the application. That's silly to say, I guess, but the most fun was getting in. That's probably obvious for everybody, but I think especially because it took me so much by surprise, and I wasn't expecting that. And I didn't get into the CSU that I wanted to go to, so then it was kind of like, well, gosh, I guess I'm going here now. So, yeah, I feel like the application process maybe was a little less stressful for me because I had kind of had my heart set not on a UC, even though I still did the application. So I think a little better experience than what most people had.
That's okay. So that's really interesting because you guys both graduated in 2019. So I graduated in 2018. So I must have applied the year before those like mini essay things got implemented. But I found it very stressful. I actually applied to Cal in 2015. So like I was going to school at Berkeley City College, and I had met all the requirements for Cal. So I was like, I'm just gonna apply and see what happens. And I actually missed something. Like there was one little thing that I didn't do, and I didn't get in. And I didn't find out until later on that like there was this whole requirement that I didn't meet. And so when I applied again in 2016, I was really nervous. I'm like, I'm gonna get rejected again. But thankfully, I guess I learned. I learned the second time, and I didn't miss anything, and I did get in. But it was very stressful, and I remember being very worried that I was missing something. Like I just kept feeling like I was missing something. Right? Like I forgot to take a class, or I forgot to write an essay, or I forgot to submit these transcripts, or something. So yeah, I yeah, I found it stressful.
What about you, Zach?
So, for me, I found it stressful for a couple. So, I'm in Sarah's board. I was planning on going to Cal State School, but my advisor told me to just apply and see what happened. But I didn't do a lot of prerequisites for it. For psychology, I wanted to go to UC Berkeley psychology, but I didn't do any prereq for it. So it was kind of stressful, but like it was whatever. But I actually got into the Cal State before I was supposed to know. Like they told me like a month after I sent in my application. It was really weird. But so I got into East Bay, then I got actually waitlisted. So I got waitlisted, and then I went to Ohio to visit some family. And then I got an email saying I got in. And then when I got in, it was like it was July. So like all the classes was pretty much filled. So I needed to find classes. But I was in Ohio and I couldn't get into my major. Because I didn't have the prerequisites. So, but once I got back to Cali and actually went to the school and like talked to people, then it was better. Because the only time I went to Berkeley was when I got in. I didn't visit it or anything. So also one thing I noticed about filling out the forms is I'm horrible at filling out forms. I'm like terrible, but so that was stressful, but we got in. So Or so Jake and everyone, what grade would you give the whole process?
What grade would I give what?
The whole process of trying to get in and the stress.
Probably like I don't know, like a B minus. It was fair, you know, but maybe a little more stressful than it needed to be. I don't know why they needed to switch up the tried and true process of doing one essay. You know,
Yeah.
that was a struggle for me. Like I said before, picking the ones that I wanted to do, and then trying to be concise and like say as much as I wanted to with 350 words was difficult. Yeah, I'm gonna go B minus. B minus.
I feel like this conversation is kind of reminding me. I feel like I maybe just blocked a lot of this like season out of my mind. I am reminding how painful this season was. Earlier I was like, oh, it's not that bad. No, I'm remembering now, in the middle of the night, my best friend, like, we were sitting in a Starbucks and she was literally pushing me to do these 5 essays or however many it was. And I was just so done. I was like, I can't do this. I don't need to do this. She was like, no, you're gonna do this. So I feel like a B minus is actually a pretty fair score because it definitely was a very stressful application process in some ways. But once you're done, then it's like, okay, it's off, and now I'm waiting, and it did seem fair, I guess. Like it did seem a bit like a culmination of everything that I had done already up to that point through my community college, and the 5 essays in some sense were helpful in that sense that I could talk about different things and different aspects of what I had done to that point. So I guess I did like them in that respect. But yeah, I think a B minus is fair.
I'm muted. I think I'm gonna go with a B instead of I'm not doing a B minus like y'all have so far. I feel like a B, even though I didn't get in 20, like when I applied the first time, I feel like that was my fault. And to be honest, the process was relatively streamlined. Like I remember you just logged on to the website, and there were like checklists and stuff. And then a lot of that was the same for all of the UCs, so I didn't have to like do it a bunch of times. Um, so in general, it wasn't too bad. It was very stressful, but not too bad. I'm gonna go with a B.
I also went with a B because it was stressful. It was like the forms and the essays, like everyone it was weird, but like it wasn't too bad. It was pretty streamlined. So I give it a B. Okay, the second the second category I have is friends and classmates. So people that you met on the way to Berkeley, how do you feel about them? Do you like anyone? Do you hate anyone?
I'll go first since I'm already talking. I definitely enjoyed my classmates. I feel like in the program that I was in, I feel like it was a smaller program, so there were fewer of us, and we crossed paths a lot more than was common. And I think also part of being a transfer student, I think that's more common just because most of your general education classes are out of the way. So I was always in smaller class settings. So I got a lot closer with people, and that was great for studying together, and like it was more helpful to hang out with people after class because coming in as a transfer definitely was more difficult, I thought, in making friends and building community because most people had their friend groups and their apartment mates and stuff already set up. Um, yeah, that's how I think about classmates. Friends were hard. I guess I already said this a little bit, but being a transfer definitely was difficult. It was hard to kind of break into a lot of groups that were already established. So I lived in a dorm for a year with a lot of freshmen, and they all became my best friends. We were kind of like, even though they were a couple years younger than I was, we were coming in together. So we had the same mindset of like, yeah, everything's new, like let's hang out, let's do stuff together, as opposed to, you know, established habits and routines, I guess, and friends. So that was helpful. So a lot of the friends that I still have from college, I think a lot of them just graduated. They had stayed in college a little longer than I did, and some of them are classmates that I still keep in touch with. Overall, I think my experience with people, like with social life in college, was not as traditional as a college student, and I think that was mostly from the transfer experience.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that my experience with meeting people and making friends at Berkeley was pretty great. It started off fantastic on day one when I met you in our orientation group. You know, we pretty much bonded right away over mutual interests, basketball, video games, pretty much anything nerdy that you can think of, we're both into. Overwatch, I think we talked about that first day quite a bit. And you told me about the league. Yeah, and I was just saying that I think that the orientation thing with a bunch of transfers, while it was a little excessive in length at 8 days of orientation, it was ultimately a good thing, I think, you know, to get surrounded by a group of people that all had the same experience in transferring. You know, some of us are a little older than traditionally when people go to college, like me. I was 25 when I started. So I knew that, you know, personally I was a little, not intimidated by the young kids, but like, you know, nervous to be, you know, the old man on campus, I guess. But aside from that, you know, I ended up making friends with a lot of people in my econ major because we all had to take, you know, the same course load over the 2 years. And going through all that stress with everybody forming study groups, stressing out over the same exams, you know, it got us all pretty tight, at least within the friend group that I made. And then I think that the Bay Area was just kind of a great place to go to school and provided like a lot of opportunities for me and my friends to do stuff, you know, whether it be concerts at the Greek Theater on campus or downtown Oakland or the city, you know, all the bars and just outdoorsy stuff that there is to do in the area. Just meant like a lot of opportunity to get out of the house and get out of the library and make memories with the homies that I made.
I can just say I agree. Like my experience at Cal, a lot of the people that I met there were really great, including Zach. Of course, we had classes together. And a lot of the friends that I made were within my major. They were also, you know, we had all the psych classes together. We would study for tests together. We would stay up late, putting notes in Google Docs, and meet at the, what is that grassy area called? I can't even remember now. There's a grassy area.
I can't remember either.
Yeah, the grassy area near the library. Just go
In
there.
front of Doe, yeah.
Yeah, and just hang out and just everything you said, like Jake, go to Pappy's every now and again. Yeah, it was pretty cool. So yeah, I say it was good. What do you think, Zach?
Terrible experience. Terrible experience. I met Jake. No, actually, but it was good. And I remember going to the Warriors game with Jake during study guys because a lot of people were very good, like old Kristina, Nava was very good, but Yeah, my time at Berkeley was like I met a lot of cool people, a lot of good friends. Like so, like you guys said, I met most of my people doing classes, and like so, like I took a lot of random classes than my major because my major only requires four requirements in a major. So, I, so like after I did the four, I can take whatever I want. So I took like very random classes. Like I took a fire class. I took a Greek class just because. So,
Because.
so yeah, I met people all around, and they were all very cool. One thing that I would say is so being disabled, sometimes people treat you kind of like that you're not that, people treat you like you have a learning disability, but like at Berkeley I never really felt that because I was going to Berkeley, so they assume that you have to be with it.
Very
Yeah.
with it, in fact.
Yeah, so
One of the most with it.
So that was really good. That was really nice to see. So what grade would you give?
A plus, 100%. 0 marks. Or full marks. I don't know what the. Yeah, you know what I mean. How about you guys?
I'm having such a hard time unmuting. Sorry. Yeah, I would definitely give an A. I wasn't the most social during my time at Cal, but everybody that I met pretty much across the board was awesome. So yeah, in terms of the people that were there and like the potential to make friends and those how those friends would be was they were high quality people. It was good. What about you?
I think I would be probably within like somewhere between a B and an A. I think similar to you, I wasn't as social during college. I think I was stressed most of the time with school and just really focused on getting through it and trying to just pass and do well. And I was really like hyper focused on that. So the people that I did interact with, I really enjoyed and I thought they were so cool and had a great time with, but I didn't really put myself in those social situations as much. So probably like a B plus, I feel like. Because now looking back in college, I don't have as many like friends in my life that I have from college. I have more from earlier in my life. But that's not because they're bad people. They were all great. No full marks there.
There you go. There you go.
So I'd say A plus because the people I met were very cool, and I really like them. They were cool people. So A plus, 100%. Right, third one, I feel like won't. I feel like it won't be A plus. It's classes and workload. So I feel
What in workload?
Classes.
What was the first thing?
Classes and workload.
I'll say that. Okay, so the classes that I took for my major, for the most part, were very interesting and very good. But some of the other classes weren't like I felt like it was a little bit of like a facade or something of like have these world renowned professors that you don't have access to at all and that are there for like 2 seconds And then the rest of the time you're talking to a GSI and reading. Oh my gosh, reading so much. And yeah, stressed out. As Sarah mentioned before, it was very stressful and anxiety provoking. Like I literally developed anxiety while I was at Cal. So yeah, it was
Yeah.
It was a lot. I think your suspicion, Zach, would be right. This grade might not be as high for me.
Yeah, I had the same experience at Berkeley, and what you said about like the facade where they kind of they put it up front and center that you'll be working with this world-renowned teacher, somebody that's won a Nobel Prize, somebody that's worked in a presidential administration or something. But then the reality in those classes, and pretty much most of my classes, was that you get 0 to like none, to 0 to no interaction with the professors themselves, and you're mostly dealing with graduate student instructors that are more concerned with their own studies than they are with helping you on in your studies. I will say that was improved in classes that I took outside my majors, my major classes. Like the econ classes felt especially pretentious and standoffish in that regard, but some of the law classes, I took a political science class, and then I don't remember what they were called, but there were those student-led classes that you could take for like 1 credit or whatever. Those were cool.
The
But
decals.
Decals.
Yes.
Yes.
Those were nice. Yeah.
Yeah, my first semester I took a Radiohead appreciation class, which is a pretentious thing to take, but I liked it. And it was like-minded people, and then obviously it's like other students leading it, so, and they care about it because they created the damn thing. So those were cool. But yeah, overall I think I agree. There's all this stress that comes with the classes, and then you also don't really get the support like I felt I did at community college, which I guess comes with the territory of going from a 30-person class to a 300-person class. So I'm sure there's something similar at UCLA as well.
Yes, I resonate with I think every statement made thus far. I feel like I didn't experience the pretentiousness as much. I chose to double major for the majority of my time, so every single class that I took counted for something. I didn't take any really big classes. I did have some classes that maybe had 100 students, but I had no bigger than 100. And I did linguistics, and so a lot of the professors, they were smaller classes, very nerdy, like language nerds, and they were really cool. They really enjoyed what they did, and they really enjoyed teaching it. That was my experience. I had really good professors, and I spent a lot of time in office hours. So I think academia was the hardest and worst part, but also the best part. And I felt really privileged. I really enjoyed the professors and spending time with them on a one-on-one setting, which I know is not UCLA as a whole. That was just my experience, and I think the situation that I was in. But yeah, academics was hard, very low grade for me and for UCLA. both of us did poorly in this category. The hardest thing for me was the quarter system. That was so fast paced. I had never experienced classes going that quickly, and still a phenomenal amount of reading. Yeah, the reading is so true. It was just, I felt like every week for all through college, I had on average 200 to 300 pages of assigned reading. No matter what classes I was taking, I could never keep up, and I always felt like I was doing poorly, which I think definitely did a number on my mental health situation. Also developed an anxiety disorder, which I had never struggled with prior to college. But yeah, I think it was my highest and my lowest were in this category, I would say. There were times when I really loved being at UCLA, and I loved the academics, and I loved the classes I was in, and also sometimes I was like, I can't do this. I think I'm just gonna quit. Like I can't keep doing this. I don't think I'm gonna make it out alive if I keep doing this kind of a situation. So yeah, maybe that's like a C then. It's not like an F grade, but it's not an A grade. Maybe like a C is a good. Maybe that represents kind of the highs and the lows
Yeah.
that I experienced.
So due to my disability, I only took 2 classes per semester, but from what I can tell from from the from the classes in the workload, is a lot of teachers give so much information, give so much work that you actually start hating the class. So like there has to be an imbalance between like giving work so you learn and like actually giving work so you don't hate the class. So because like I was in one class and there was so much work, like every week there was something to do and it was bad. But since I was only taking 2 classes, like it never got to that point where it went over the top and went crazy. But like I definitely understand if you take like 4 of these, like 3 or 4 of these classes, you will go insane. So
As we all did.
yeah, as we all did.
I would agree with the C. I think I might give a C. Like I'm critical, like out of the gate, I'm critical, but then like in thinking about it, I found a community, which was like I took this seminar attachment theory class and it was small and I really enjoyed it and then I just kept going with it. And like I actually did get to know those like Mary Main and Dr. Hesse, like I went to their house for dinner and I had this community there of all the attachment theory folks and we did that for like a year. So like once I found it, it was good, but it overall like you have to try like I got lucky. Like I got lucky that I just randomly signed up for that class and I got in. And if I hadn't, I feel like yeah, I would have felt completely disconnected from the coursework for the most part. So yeah, I would say a C. But I did want to just add that slight addition in there that I did have good professors too.
Yeah, I would go with the C as well. Middle of the road. I mean, there were highs to the whole experience, like I talked crap about some of the pretentious professors, and how they were, uh, important people in the real world, and they didn't have a lot of time for us as students. But even so, it was really cool to take classes from some of those people, and like they were extremely knowledgeable about what, based on their experience, working in whatever field they had, so yeah, I mean, it was definitely a C, filled with highs and some lows. What about you, Zach?
So I gave it a B minus because it was pretty bad, but it wasn't. I found it not too bad.
Commenting on what Jake was saying, you hate to say that, some of the professors are kind of cool. That is kind of cool to be in their class. Hate to say it, but
yeah.